Hello, and welcome to the webinar, Create Your Brand, How to Stand Out from the Crowd. My name is Pooja Krumanakar, and I will be the Impact Group Coach who will be leading you through this webinar today. Companies, charities, and schools have been using branding for years to differentiate themselves in the marketplace. If you see a swoosh, chances are you think of Nike. See a red bullseye? Target. Golden arches? McDonald's. Companies have taken logos such as these and built a mind's eye image of the product or company that it represents. This is a powerful tool to influence buying behaviors towards their products or services. But how do we take the same idea and apply it to personal branding? It's not exactly an apples to apples comparison, is it? I can't create a great logo for myself, put it on my resume or social media, and then expect suddenly everybody to know what my brand says about me. But are there lessons I can learn from the business world when it comes to the creation and promotion of my personal brand? As we dig deeper into the topic of branding, we are going to focus on a couple of key areas for today's webinar, including why building a brand matters. This is the most important first step that anyone should take in career transition. Whether you are looking to find another job, land freelance or gig work, or starting your own business. We will look together at the components of a good brand and walk with you through a step-by-step process that you can use to begin to identify what makes you unique, but more importantly, how you can communicate that uniqueness to employers. We'll also look at a couple of examples around some personal brands. And then finally, we'll get you started on strategies for communicating and growing your own personal brand, not just now in career transition, but also in long-term career management. Think back to a time when you met someone new. How did you introduce yourself? Was it just your name and job title? Maybe you mixed it up a bit and added in the number of years you worked at a particular company, or how long you have lived in a certain city. Now think about the last time someone introduced themselves to you in that way. Do you remember that person's job title, career length, or hometown? Probably not. While it may seem most straightforward to relate just the facts, the truth is that it's the stories and experiences. And that is what has the impact. And that is the impact we need to communicate that when we create our brand. While just the facts play into the overall narrative, our brand is meant to evoke emotion and a response on part of the listener. And that is rarely done by keeping just to the basic facts. Let us look at some examples and talk about what we think about this, okay? First one. Hi, my name is Sue. I've been with my company for about 12 years now, and I manage the customer care team here in Springfield. Or how about this one? Example 2. Good morning. My name is Alphonse. I'm the Director of Business Development for a software service company. We provide solutions that enable customers to incorporate strategy, marketing, and user experience. Now, do either of these intros bowl you over? If you heard someone share this information in a networking event, either in person or online, would you feel compelled to run over to them and hear more? I think not. More than likely, neither of these intros would do much to evoke a response out of you. After all, they may be factual, but they aren't impactful. If we haven't yet answered the question of why personal branding matters, let's take a look together at this picture. How does this make you feel? For me, it makes me feel overwhelmed. Can you imagine being in the middle of that crowd, or worse, trying to find someone in that crowd? Well, as overwhelming as this picture might be, multiply it by quite a bit, and you might get close to the 4.4 billion internet users across the globe. While not all of those users are going to be job seekers, if even 1% of them are, that is a lot of people that you need to compete with in order to get the attention of the right people at the right company at the right time. And that is about more than having just a great resume. And that is why personal branding should be the foundation of your job search and why it matters so greatly. This diagram illustrates the importance of creating and defining one's brand as the center point at all your career communications. As a result, everything you do, from writing a resume, developing your web presence, including your social profiles, to your communications, that may be letters, emails, conversations, or networking. Whether you're doing it with people in person or online, it all has to speak to the value of your personal brand. As a result, personal branding defines everything you do. So now we get it. Personal branding makes a big difference. But for those of you who haven't ever considered your personal brand, you're probably thinking, I don't know where to start. Let us agree by agreeing on a definition. Again, branding applied to you as a person isn't about you making a great logo. It's about working through the process of defining what you are really good at, your passion and purpose, and then tying that together in a narrative that helps others know not just what you do, but how well you do it. Personal branding is not about a single tagline. It's the golden thread that runs through all of your stories, that speaks to your value as a professional. It should be a narrative that helps you stand out in a crowd, but it's not only about standing out. If it was only about standing out in a crowd, our advice would be to make the most outlandish brand possible. But that's not the goal. The goal is for you to communicate information about yourself in such a way that you leave a positive impression in the minds of all you meet. But to make a positive impression, you first have to figure out what it is that you want people to know about you. There is a reason that people like John Jantz refer to a personal branding as an art. It takes time to craft your brand in such a way that you communicate your superpower without coming off as someone who is a braggart. A great way to avoid feeling or seeming like you're bragging is that to start with the feedback of others. What is your superpower? Personal branding is based on the same concept as business branding, but personal branding has been defined as a practice of people marketing themselves and their careers as brands. Think of your brand as a brief, powerful way to burn your impression into others' indelible memories. It's important to think of your brand as something that illustrates your passion and purpose, as well as information about your offering or service. Personal branding is about advancing your career and making yourself memorable to the people you meet. In other words, did you stand apart from all the other job seekers? Ask yourself, are there many other people who share your job title? I think we can agree that there are. So let us figure out what is so unique about you. If you can begin by thinking about a word that you own, then you are on your way to telling others what they can expect from you. What are you best at doing? Can you imagine a 1 or 2 word descriptor that fits you. We'll come back to this idea later. Here is a quote from a Tom Peters article published many years ago and is still relevant today. Regardless of age, regardless of position, regardless of the business we happen to be in, all of us need to understand the importance of branding. We are the CEOs of our own companies, me incorporated. To be in business today, our most important job is to be head marketer for the brand called you. Using Impact Group's 360-degree feedback tool for personal branding, you can lead trusted friends and colleagues through a process to help you better understand how you are perceived. Ask your contacts to give you some descriptors through some attributes that describe you. Talk with them about what specific skills you excel at and find out more about what those individuals believe to be your strengths and weaknesses. While you might not agree with all of their thoughts, it can help arm you to be better equipped to talk about yourself when you know that others share the same opinion of you being, for example, methodical with above average forecasting skills. In addition to seeking out feedback from other people, also consider looking at old performance reviews for the last 5 to 10 years. While not every company or even every boss will go into great detail on a performance review, some will. And that can be very helpful in supporting your efforts to define exactly what you are really good at. As part of the self-revelation process, you might also want to use exercises like Impact Group's 5 W's and 1 H exercise for storytelling. Remember, your brand is about far more than just the facts, but we can use the facts to craft powerful narratives that illustrate who we are, what we do, when and where we did it, and why we did what we did. And of course, how we got all of that done. Going through the storytelling exercises to recount certain experiences may not be enough as you define your personal brand. You may also need something that walks you through examples a bit deeper. Remember, your brand isn't a single tagline. Again, think about the golden thread running through all of your example. That's your brand. So how do you use tools like Impact Group's personal branding worksheet to build out your brand? Simply put, tools like this help you develop your own unique brand. In that worksheet, we ask you several questions to answer. In those answers, you will find the right wording for your unique brand. As you are working through the worksheet, I'm going to encourage you to dig deep and be thoughtful as you respond. The time and effort that you put into this worksheet will pay off over and over again. The worksheet has been the golden ticket for so many candidates. Let me share with you a branded introduction that resulted from a job seeker who embraced the worksheet and realized her focus at the next job needed to be a lot broader than her most recent job. This is a portion of the intro she created after using the worksheet. The company where I spent my career has a slogan. It is the power of one. I believe that one person can make a significant impact on career service, on morale, on business. Do you agree? I love being the voice of the company and the voice of the customer. I have worked in manufacturing, inspection, engineering, purchasing, inventory control, customer service, and scheduling, to name a few. I help people get what they want, whether it's information about orders, inventory, or simply to help them find a coworker. I am known for getting things done. I may not have all the answers, but I can find the answers by using my contacts and knowledge. I will stop reading here, but she continued on with her branding as she gave a call to action to continue the relationship. For this job seeker, this was part of her presentation statement, how she used branding to introduce herself to new contacts. And I really appreciate this example because this job seeker used many powerful thoughts. The power of one. I love being the voice of the company and the voice of the customer. I am known for getting things done. She did not dwell on her years of experience in manufacturing, then moving up to inspection, then engineering, then purchasing, etc. She skipped the facts for this information and focused on the impact of her experiences. What would you like or dislike about this real-world example? Could she have eliminated some of the focus on I? Perhaps. Could this be a little shorter? Sure. While there may have been things that each of us would have wanted to include to make it more appropriate to our communication style, I like sharing this example to show that this is something the job seeker created on her own, and you can do that as well. Embrace the worksheet. Spend the time to thoroughly answer the questions, and I think you will be very pleased with the results. Let me share with you some taglines from job seekers who work through these questions. Marketing admin assistant. I am the glue that holds together the people, work, and activities that keep our department running efficiently and productively. I love being the voice of the company and the voice of the customer. I take pride in fixing equipment that is expected to never break down, and I work diligently at continuously improving on ways to increase quality and prevent failure. While a brand isn't only represented by a tagline can be a powerful tool to pull some thoughts together, especially when it comes to social profiles. Let's face it, Twitter has shown us over and over that short posts can create lasting impact and that we can apply that same methodology to our branding taglines. Great, so now we have some example of taglines, but what about more examples of person-to-person communication? Let's take a look at what another introduction with personal branding included may sound like. Here's Carrie. And just listen to her intro and then think about whether you think Carrie used personal branding to her advantage. Hello, my name is Carrie White. I have lived in Indianapolis area for 14 years. For the last 12 years, I have been employed by State Farm Insurance Company. Most recently, I worked as a claims service assistant for the operations center. I provided support to the claim representatives and also assisted customers coming into our office with their claims. Now, let's take another look at Carrie's introduction with some branding incorporated. Hello, my name is Carrie White. Like a good neighbor, I am the first person to help customers recover from calamities and manage the risks of everyday life. Most recently, in my role as a claim service assistant at the Operations Center, I was the face of State Farm and the first person to interact with customers who were seeking help with processing their insurance claims. What do you think of the second intro? Did you find that you missed knowing how long she lived in Indianapolis or worked for State Farm? I didn't. Why do you think we don't really miss knowing that information? The truth is that Carrie's second introduction is focused on what she could do for me. And her zip code or length of employment really has no relevance as it doesn't speak to the value that she can offer a potential employer, at least not directly. In her second intro, she has branded herself as a good neighbor. But more than that, she's created a mental image of herself. And the image gives people a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's that feeling that makes Carrie most memorable. Carrie has told us what she can do, and it sounds interesting. If you can accomplish helping people recover from calamities, maybe she can help you in the same way. It's not all about Carrie. It's about what she can do for you as well. Let's take a look at a second example from Jack and hear his introduction. If you're looking for someone to spearhead high-impact marketing programs for your software company, you have found the right person. I am Jack Wynn, and my success is a function of my ability to achieve an optimal mix of the 3 Ps: people, process, and products. I have developed marketing programs for new products, grown top and bottom line revenues, increased customer satisfaction, and driven process efficiency. I am a very sales-oriented ambassador of the company. So what do you think about this? He has a great catchphrase, the 3 Ps. The visual language is amazing. He's also focused on what he can do for you, but ties that back to the potential problem that your company has. One of the most important principles behind creating a good personal brand is to use words people are able to see while they're listening to you. This is especially important when you cannot be face-to-face when meeting somebody. In fact, you may not even be voice-to-voice when meeting someone for the first time. It may happen through chat, texts, or email. However, the idea of using word pictures still remains. Think back to our good neighbor example. Carrie's use of language created a warm and fuzzy feeling. Listeners are more likely to remember her because she connected her background to emotions and word pictures. Jack's example also created a mental image. He's the 3P guy who mixes people, process, and products. I'm picturing 3 Ps in my mind. We looked to our own impact group coaches for some ideas around other word pictures. Here are some of their examples when asked how they describe what a coach does. Career coach number 1, I am a sounding board. Coach number 2, I help people unravel the mystery of the job search. Coach number 3, I help people repackage their strengths. I am a career coach. Words that are more visual create more interest for the listener. So remember to include those words as you craft your narratives. We have talked quite a bit about how to craft the brand, but what do you do with it once you have it? Remember, your brand should impact everything you do, from your resume to your communications and your web presence. It isn't a standalone action that once developed can be ignored. That's a little like building a classic car and then never getting in to enjoy it. You have gone to all of this work to identify and develop your brand. Now you need to take it out for a test drive. This diagram illustrates the importance of creating and defining one's brand as the center of all your career communications. Think of every tool in the marketing toolkit as a reflection of your unique offering. Even if you have already worked on some of our communications, your resume is ready to distribute. It's important to go back and review your materials so you are certain that you are incorporating your brand. Repetition is a part of what helps people remember. You need to reinforce your brand over and over again in all of your communications. Let's take a look at each of these marketing tools. What about your resume, CV, or even professional biography? Are these branded? Quite often, these tools are the first and only introduction to a potential hiring manager. How can your resume stand out from the others? Many people are incorporating their branding statement below their contact information for just that reason. Your web presence, including sites like LinkedIn, but not only LinkedIn, also serve as a personal branding platform. Your headline on your profile shows your value and promotes your brand, and your summary tells your story in a personal way. We will come back to the bigger concept of branding through your web presence in a moment. In your correspondence and cover letters, you will communicate how well suited you are for the position and verbalize your passion and purpose. Create an email signature line where you can use your brand as a tagline or a logo, and you can provide a link to your LinkedIn profile. As you meet with people either face-to-face or voice-to-voice, using branding tools such as your presentation statement can be a powerful way to introduce yourself with impact, using words that deliver a quick message and prompt the listener to want to hear more. And finally, interviews. Branding does not stop before the interview process. So as you craft your brand at the beginning of the job search, think about what potential interview questions you need to prepare for that gives you the opportunity to demonstrate your brand in expanded ways. One of the most important places you will incorporate your personal brand is online, and that is through your web presence. Our web presence is comprised of more than just where we want employers to look. It is also comprised of everything we do online, from social profiles on both personal and professional sites, how we engage with others, where we have our resumes posted, where we blog, where we share articles, what we share, or what others say or post about us. You need to learn how to manage the way you're perceived by defining and growing your personal brand online, including building an online identity. You may have heard the now famous line, if you don't exist on Google, do you really exist? Have you Googled yourself? And how does that apply to your personal brand? For those that did complete a Google search, did you find yourself? Recruiters and hiring managers will typically try to learn more about you from an online search. As a business professional, you need to keep your presence professional and well-branded. Take advantage of building a dynamic profile on sites like LinkedIn, the world's largest professional business network, and incorporate your personal brand into your headline and your summary. One of our job seekers, Dave, a software engineering manager, distinguished himself from others with the same job title when he began his LinkedIn summary this way. How might my friends and work colleagues describe me in 3 words or less? One answer might be geek with personality. The geek part. I have built my career upon my 2 greatest interests, science and software engineering. The personality part. I have succeeded in my career because of my people skills, high emotional IQ, strengths-first leadership, and dry wit. Geek plus personality means I excel at the interface between customers and developers. I am comfortable working in both non-technical and technical realms and all points in between. LinkedIn is all about showcasing your personal brand and making yourself memorable so people will want to get to know more about you. But remember what you need to be, where your potential employers might be. So while LinkedIn is the most obvious choice, consider what other social networks you might need to be involved with, whether that is Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Facebook, Reddit, or something else entirely. You need to consider that in addition to sharing your brand online, you will communicate it verbally with people as well as in writing. Spoken words communicate emotion and create excitement. Written words capture data and advance interest. Both tell your audience who you are as well as what you do. Start now and test your personal introduction everywhere you go. Try it out in both formal and informal situations. What happens when you meet someone new, either socially or professionally? One of the first questions they usually ask is, what do you do? It takes practice to become more comfortable with your introduction because it's only with practice that you'll be able to achieve a relaxed, informal style and show confidence. Take the time to record or videotape yourself to help you learn your intro. Your statement shouldn't sound heavily scripted. You want to sound natural, so talk it out loud as you write it, record, and listen to yourself. In addition, be bold with your delivery. Neither party is served by false modesty. If you're good at something, say so. Give the listener a flavor of who you are, your purpose and passion, not just what you do or want to do. As you try out your introduction and respond to questions, gauge the response of your listener. Do they seem interested? Do they look at you as if they don't understand what you do? Are you able to get a conversation going? Think about ending your conversation with a call to action. Something like, do you have a business card? Can I jot down your email address? Are you on social media? I would like to send you some links to articles I think you will find very interesting. Or, here's my business card. I'll call you the first thing next week to follow up on our meeting. Finally, if you believe as I do that branding is the central piece of your communications, you need to get started working on creating your own brand and refer to it consistently in your resume and other marketing materials, as well as in your networking, interviewing, and your online presence. So write, practice, rewrite, and keep at it until you find a brand that works for you and helps you stand out from the competition. If you struggle with getting something on paper, ask a colleague or your coach to interview you with these questions and record your responses. Then transcribe and start editing. As we work to wrap up today's webinar, please feel free to reach out to your coach directly if there are any questions that you have. He or she would be more than happy to help you on your journey in creating your brand. Thank you again for taking the time to listen to this webinar. We hope that you are well on your way in creating your own brand.